As a dungeon master, we don't need any help making things easier. Being a dungeon master is easy. It's a piece of cake. Don't need any help, right? I want all the help I can get. So here are 5 things that I like to do to help make my life a little bit easier as a dungeon master. You don't have to agree, but you may want to take heed. Let's talk about it. The number one thing I do as a DM to make my life easier is I let my players solve the puzzle. Meaning, I like complex puzzles, but I make sure there's never just a right answer. I've talked about this in a previous video, but really, let your players solve the puzzle. Let them come up with a solution and then let it be right. Now, I don't do this the first time every time. It's not always the, hey, my players have got it, they get it every single time. No, I let them fumble around for a bit. But if they seem to be struggling, I start to help them with their creativity. What would you do? How would your player do this? This would I be saw. I would cast this spell and do this. Sure, why not? Let it work. Move the game forward. Because remember, if there's only one solution to a very complex, very creative puzzle, well, sometimes that can be frustrating for the players. So make your life easier. When they come up with a super creative solution, let it be the solution. They'll feel good, you'll feel good, game moves on, and challenge solved. The other thing to do when it comes to being a dungeon master, if you want an easier life, let the players' plans work. In fact, help them make it work. And what I mean by that is if the players have an idea of how to get into a place to make a heist work, let it happen. In fact, allow things to fall in place. Put challenges in their place that don't directly conflict with the players' plans, but allow them to have a challenge that doesn't just erupt their whole plans. In fact, you can actually give the players a challenge, such as if they found the perfect way into the dungeon, they got the perfect way in, all of a sudden they encounter a guard, allow them a chance to be creative and take that guard down. Now, if they just let the guard run off, yeah, sure, everyone comes and gets them. But at the same time, if they're creative, okay, I'm going to cast Eldritch Blast, but I don't want to kill the guard. I'm going to use it to be forceful to knock him into the wall. I'm going to use my Repelling Blast to bounce him off the walls. Sounds great. Well, Repelling Blast only pushes them away from you. Come on. If they hit him at an angle, it throws him into the wall. Let that work. Let the players' plans go off, not necessarily without a hitch, but let them be successful. And you as the dungeon master, help find ways for those plans to be successful. Be on your player's side sometimes. You don't have to be adversarial to be and have fun, but you can still put challenges in front of them. So remember, I'm not saying don't give them challenge, but I'm saying have them and help them have their plans work. It feels good. It's fun. What do you think? Are you adversarial? Do you want to put challenges that foil the players' plans? Or do you want to help them have their plans work? What kind of dungeon master are you? Work with your players, not against your players. In Dungeons and Dragons, we have something where we're talking about the DM versus the players. And the thing is that yes, the dungeon master's job is to put challenges in front of the players. But when you work with your players, when you try to help them accomplish their goals and you put resources in front of them when they're trying to find those resources, that feels good. Because remember, without you, the dungeon masters, the players have nothing. If the players are trying to find a resource to get an alternate solution to a problem you proposed, but it's not the way that you wanted them to solve it, help them solve it their way. Now, this goes along with the same things as working with them on their puzzles, making sure their plans work. But when you're working with your players, it's amazing the types of stories you can tell. If the players want to go down a certain direction, help them go down that direction. Help that direction solve the problem that you've given. You can always bring things together later on down the road, especially if your players are trying to solve this problem, but they want to do it by going over here, help them go over here. Don't try to force them to go over here. Because here's the thing. If I help the players go over here, this BBEG can simply be put here and react differently than the way I had it planned. Because now the entire situation has been thrown up in the air. Work with your players for a collaborative storytelling event most of the time. That does not mean, again, that you don't have to challenge your players. I'm not saying that. I'm saying work with your players to achieve the goals they want to achieve and then put the appropriate challenges in front of them. It is easier as a dungeon master if your players are being cooperative with you as if they're being adversarial with you. If your players are fighting against you and you're putting a challenge in front of them, they may just leave that challenge altogether. But if they want to go the direction they want to go and you put a challenge in front of them, then they want to go there even more. So remember that. Working with your players doesn't mean not challenging them. So just remember to put the challenge in front of the direction the players want to go and work with them, not against them. You'll be amazed at how that works. Now, what do you think about this? As a dungeon master, does this go contradictory to the way you think dungeon mastering should be? Do you think that you have to help them achieve their goals? It doesn't mean you can't challenge them. What are your thoughts on this? Because this one's a little, well, more eccentric of an opinion that's out there as far as how dungeon mastering should work. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Work with them, work against them, or challenge them at all turns? And finally, as a dungeon master, if you don't know how the players and party can move forward, if you are stumped, ask your party. If you don't know which direction they should go, ask them what they want to do. If you don't know what to plan next, ask your players. Now, you can do this both in-game and out of game, but if you're at a loss as far as planning goes, if you're at a loss of what you should do next as a dungeon master, ask your players what they want to do. And you could even have a sit-down session being like, hey guys, here's where we're at in the game. What do you want to do as a party? There's nothing wrong with that. Remember, you don't have to have all of the answers as a dungeon master, but you very well can come up with them. So give your party some, well, give them some input. Allow them to help you figure out what to do next in the game. Make your life easier as a dungeon master and stop trying to come up with every single plot hook. What plot hook do they want? Sometimes you can just come out and ask them. So as always, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, share this video, comment below on your thoughts about what we talked about. I always talk about big arching topics to allow you as the dungeon master and the players to have their input and their voices be heard. But the goal is to inspire creativity in your players and not tell you exactly what to do, but give you hints and ideas. So as always, we will see you next time.